right, welcome back, guys. Fitness Profit Multiplier, Anthony and Jimmy. Today, we're going to be discussing how to get your leads to show up. So you did all this marketing stuff. You've listened to our podcast on marketing and sales before, and now you're marketing. You're getting more people in the gym. You're using our fishing boat analogy that we talk about. You're getting all these fish to bite on the hook. Well, how do you reel them up? How do you get the leads to show up? A lot of people don't know how to do this. So that's why I wanted to talk about it today and touch on it today. But before we get rolling into that, I wanted to let you guys know that we are taking on a handful of gym owners to work with us one-on-one. So if you're interested in taking your business to 7 figures and beyond, just make sure you click that link below. Book your business diagnostics call with us so we can cover and show you how you can get to 7 figures and beyond. But leads, how do we get them to show up, man? Where do we begin? Where do we begin with this, Jimmy?
Well, it all begins with the phone call. So the first step is, how fast are you getting on the phone with these leads? That's the first step. Speed to lead is number one. And I guess number 1B is what your framework looks like and how your phone sales individual is speaking to the member and speaking to, I future paced that already. I called them a member prospect, right? But so they're speaking to the prospect in a way that gets them quickly to know, like, and trust that individual and gets them committed to coming in for the meeting. So it's the cadence, the tonality, and the framework that is used in the phone call that ultimately predicts the show rate of that individual first and foremost. So 2 and 2, or 1 and 1B are kind of the one and the same, but they're both parts of the first part of the equation.
Yeah, you have to remember, when you speak to somebody on the phone, they're not sure, right? They don't know anything. You got to assume that they are a ice cold lead. They don't know anything about your facility. They don't know nothing about what you do. And it's your job to educate them on that. You want to turn them from a sizzling cold ice lead to a sizzling hot burning. They're drooling from the mouth. They're ready to sign up. They want to give you their credit card over the phone right now type of a person. You need to be able to heat them up that way during the phone call. Because if you're shitty on the phone and you're kind of like, yeah, there's a lot of noise in the background, you're not really paying attention to what they're saying, you're not validating their concerns or anything like that, they're not going to come in. They're going to be like, that was whatever. I don't really need this. I know what to do. I can do this. Like, they've raised their hand for some help. So it's your job to make them really hot. So this way they come in for the actual help. And remember, the goal of the phone call is to get them to show up. So that's your first step, is that, right? And then people talk about all these other tactics and things that you need to do. But ultimately, if your phone call sucks, you're not going to get anyone in. And this is what we drill with our gyms every week on our sales call, like talking about what goes on during that phone call. What are you saying? What aren't you saying? Sometimes it's what you aren't saying that's making it different. So, Jimmy, let's talk about some of the things that you shouldn't do on a phone call.
Fair enough. So, on the phone call, I really don't like when you pick up the phone and you dial and you say, "Hey, how's your day going? Hey, have any good plans this weekend? What's going on with you? How's your day? How's your Tuesday going for you, Mrs. Jones?" Da, 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 da. And it's all this fluff. They don't know you from Adam. So that is sales breath 101, is doing too much of this rapport building in the beginning of the call. They filled out a form. They filled out a form based upon a specific offer. And it's very simple. The opening is very simple. "Hey, Mrs. Jones, I see you filled out a form and you're interested in improving your fitness. Does that sound right?" Yeah. Okay, mini commitment. Okay. Then you go, hey, my name is X from X Gym. I just have a couple of questions for you to make sure that you're a good fit for our program and our program is a good fit for you. Does that sound good? Or does it sound fair? Yeah, great. Awesome. And then you launch into the questions that you need to ask them to get them to commit to you and admit to you the problem that they actually have. So that's first sales faux pas, is too much rapport building in the beginning of the call, or rapport building, as we would say. That's number one.
Yeah. Second thing I would say that to never to do is to talk about the program. The goal of the phone call is to get them to come in. So let's say I went to Best Buy and I wanted to buy a computer because I needed to edit videos, right? I'm a marketing machine now, thanks to Fitness Profit Multiplier, and I need to edit videos so I can get more clients in the door. So I walk into Best Buy and I tell them, hey, I need a computer that I can edit videos on really fast. I can export the videos quickly at a high quality. And the salesperson sits there and tells me, well, this computer right here has 700 megabytes of RAM and it does this, and it has an Intel processing speed of XXX, and the camera is a 1080 blah, blah. What, dude? That's how your client feels. Like, what? Like, I don't understand what you're talking about here. I just want a computer that does this. So it's the same thing when it comes to your prospects. If you sit there and you're spilling trainer jargon to them, well, Mrs. Jones, we're going to periodize your program every 6 weeks, and then we're going to sit there and we're going to calculate all your macros, and we're going to make sure that you're having broccoli 3 times a day. They're like, what? I just want to lose weight. I just want to lose this belly that I have. They don't care about any of that stuff. So if you're talking about that stuff, they're not ready to receive that information yet. They're only ready to receive that information after they purchase, not before. So there's no reason to give them that before. Because remember, if you start telling them the ins and outs of the program, Ms. Jones, you're going to have broccoli 3 times a day. And Mrs. Jones turns to you and says, but I don't like broccoli. Now you created an objection for that person. I can't do this because I don't like broccoli. That's an extreme example, but you get the idea, right? You're setting up bad things to occur before you even get started with the sales process. So talking too much about the program is my next thing that I would say is probably a big no-no.
Yeah. Yep. And 100%. So, excuse me. And some of the time, you're going to find that when people fill out your form, they may not know what your gym is from a different gym. So a little bit of like, we focus on strength training could be as far as you would go, right? Because then they can identify that you're not Pilates or yoga or CrossFit or whatever. We're personal training. We're a personal training facility, right? Just so they can categorize you. But other than that, you do not go into the ins and outs. You do not go into any of this other stuff. The next thing that you want to avoid talking about on the phone is the app or how they schedule or your management software, right? You don't talk about, oh, we have this app that does this, and this, and that. They're not scheduling appointments with you yet for workouts. They're scheduling one appointment to show up, learn more about the program, and get some meaningful information and some value. So do not go into the ins and outs of how your app works and what it does and all this stuff. In addition to that, this is kind of the next one, but in addition to that, I wouldn't go over your schedule either. I would just say something to the effect of, we have sessions that fit any schedule. The gym opens at X time and closes at X time. That's it. Do not give them too much information, because if you're like, we have a session at this time, this time, this time, this time, this time, this time. Well, I really want to work out at 8 a.m. You guys don't have a session then. And then they don't want to come in for the workout. Or maybe they think that to themselves after they get off the call and they no-show you. So you don't want to give too much information about your schedule. You don't want to jump into the ins and outs of your app. You think it's cool because it makes your life easier, but they don't give a crap, right? Them scheduling with you could be any way, shape, or form. They could schedule with you by texting you. They don't care how they schedule with you. The app makes your life easier. So it's one of those things where you don't have to talk about that either. Don't talk about that. Don't talk about your schedule. What else should we not talk about on the phone, Anthony? You got any more?
I think those are the main ones. I
Yeah.
think those are the ones that like you really, those are the big red flags. Whenever we hear gym owners do that, we're like, oh, no, don't do that. Don't do that. The next thing that I would say that you need to be doing is you need to be asking questions. The person who asks the most questions typically wins, because when you ask them questions, they're going to start divulging information that you need to know, so you can kind of load up the barrel, so to say, with things to help them push themselves to the next limit. Because listen, they're looking for every excuse not to do this, right? They don't want to be in shape. Otherwise, they'd be you. They'd be a trainer. They don't want to be in shape. They don't want to do this. Maybe they want it, but they don't really want it because they would have taken action on it already. So they're looking for any excuse to kind of like, nah. So you need to get them to really divulge information for you so you can say and really help them. Well, Mrs. Jones, why do you want to lose 20 pounds? Well, I feel uncomfortable because, I can't do things with the kid, and boom, that's the ultimate reason why she wants to do this. Because if you can tap into that, then you could really, really get them to commit to the program. And remember, when they commit to the program, they're ultimately going to get results, which is why we got into this in the first place, to get people results. And in that process, they'll get results. They'll stay with you longer. You'll have more profits. You'll have more freedom, and you'll ultimately have a business that you love.
Mm-hmm. Yep. After you're asking more questions, guys, the next logical step is to repeat back to the prospect what they told you so that they know that you're listening, right? Oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. I can't keep up with my grandkids, this, that, and the other. Oh, great, Mrs. Jones. So just so we're on the same page here, you said you want to do this, you want to do this, and you want to do that. Awesome. Why is that important to you? Why now? Boom. Next question. You're getting them over that line, right? You're pushing that forward. That's the next logical step after asking a lot of questions. Ask follow-up questions to those questions after confirming what you just learned about that individual, right? Another thing you want to make sure that you do is use their name over and over again. Their name over and over again. That makes them feel like you guys are now connected. You guys are now part of the same team, right? You're part of the same tribe. You're part of the same group. You want to use their name regularly. And the last thing that I want to add to this on the call, and Anthony may have some other things, but the last thing that I want to add on the phone call is when you are offering appointment times to set appointments, you do not say, hey, when are you available? Let's book a time, right? This is kind of a not, but this is kind of a what to do deal. But you don't just give them blanket access to your calendar. You give them 2 specific times after you ask them what works better for you, morning or evening, okay? So when you schedule them, this is the way you schedule. All right, our next step is just get you in for an appointment with this person. They're really great. They'll help you with this, that, and the other. Do mornings or evenings work better for you? They'll say mornings or evenings. And if they say evenings, for example, you say, all right, we have a 6 p.m. We have a last minute opening at 6 p.m. tonight. And then we have a 4 p.m. tomorrow night. Which one works better for you? And that's how you book, right? And then they're like,
that's how they show up.
What's that?
That's how they show up. If you follow the things that we talk about on this call, that's how they end up showing up. Yeah. Not from, doing all these things after the fact. It all stems from the phone call, guys. So, guys, if you want help with any of this, make sure you click those links below, and we could help you actually book those appointments. So until next time, Anthony and Jimmy, Fitness Profit Multiplier, we are